You can either win by elimination or by extracting the artifact. It's a first-person shooter, but you have a ship that you can pilot that is kind of your home base, and as long as it lives, your team lives, and if it dies, your team dies, so you live and die by your ship.
It becomes very hectic to the point where you're kind of sometimes just hoping for the best. As long as your ship is up, you're going to respawn, but things can go south very quickly.
So you can steal parts of the enemy ship and then teleport back to yours, stall it on ours.
Slam it in, yeah.
And suddenly we have that upper hand.
You want to be on voice comms. You want to be talking to your team. This is a very difficult game to just try and play on vibes alone.
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to Game Informer. We've got another episode of new gameplay today to show you. We're going to be taking a look at Wildgate, which is an upcoming PvP pseudo Sea of Thieves game set in space. It's really neat. I'm Alex Van Aken, your host. I'm joined by two of my teammates in the footage, Eric Van Allen. How you doing, Eric? Thanks for joining us again.
That was our ship there, the Honorable Grip Safety. We love this ship. It's a great ship.
Yes. Also joining us is Jesse Vitelli. How you doing, Jesse?
I'm doing great. I don't think I did much in this gameplay, but you know what? I was here for moral support, and that's what matters.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I feel like, this game can be pretty brutal, and I definitely picked one of our matches that we did fairly well. But I really am enjoying getting to learn this game. It's pretty challenging at first. There's a lot going on, but it's really cool. Eric, you are the one who you kind of did a preview event for this and kind of put it on all of our radars, I think. Of course, this is developed by Moonshot Games. It's going to be published by Dreamhaven. But can you tell us, just give us like the gist of what's going on in Wildgate?
Yeah, so a while back I did a preview event for Games Radar. Shout outs to them for giving me the op. I basically sat down for about half a day and played a bunch of rounds of this game and talked to some of the designers, and it's kind of a weird one to describe because I think there's a lot of touchstones of other genres that you can point to that all feel familiar, but it's the way that they come together that makes this a pretty novel experience. So there's definitely some extraction shooter DNA in that you are kind of entering into this combat zone, this wider area with your crew. You have a ship. It is a first-person shooter, but you have a ship that you can pilot that is kind of your home base and is also, as long as it lives, your team lives, and if it dies, your team dies, so you live and die by your ship. And you are looking for this artifact, the mystical alien artifact that's out here in wild space, and then you want to get that and extract it through the Wildgate as one of the win conditions, with the other win condition being taking out all the other crews that have shown up in the rift to kind of fight for control of the artifact. So you can either win by elimination or by extracting the artifact. But you can see we're doing point of interest stuff here. You'll go into a zone, there'll be little objectives to do and complete, which will unlock a loot cave where you can put stuff on your ship. You can add modifications to put on different things. But also, this is not an extraction shooter in the sense that there's not match over match carryover. So it's not like anything we get here is going to carry over to the next match.
You're always starting from that first step, no matter what.
So it's almost MOBA-esque is the way I always felt about it, where, in a MOBA, you start out, you build up to level 18, level 25, whichever MOBA is your flavor, and then you kind of start over next game. Now you're level 1 again. You start going up again. And so the progression stuff here is more about in-match and kind of trying to maximize what you can get out of every point of interest, out of every place you loot, and then ultimately building up your ship and either taking out other teams or searching for the artifact. So you also have a lot of things here that are not even just combat focused, but you have ice that you can pick up to build up repairs for your ship. You have fuel that can fuel your boost. You have a drone, which you can see here. You can use to fly those around and scout, and you can get upgrades that make your drones able to go farther, scout further, or scan from further away, so you can get more info.
That's one of the ones that we installed after this loot cave. We have 200 more meters that our drones can go and fly, which is cool. It's a lot of the early game is, if you're playing smart, you want somebody piloting, somebody kind of manning the ship, and then several people on drones, looking for opportunities, looking for new points of interest, marking enemy ships that are nearby, that sort of thing. And that's where you kind of begin planning your route in the early hours. And you did mention, collecting ice, collecting fuel. Every ship also has a power core that is the lifeblood of your ship. You can see grip safety, our ship. I love also the names are randomized for every ship, every match.
So good.
Yeah, they are. They are. Our core at the start has 80 health essentially, we take damage. We can kind of heal it through adding ice to the core, but we can also have our ship boarded, and people can plant a bomb, essentially self-destruct our power core and blow our ship up that way. So there's a lot of different ways to take out other ships and for enemies to take out your ship. And so like I'm playing a character that has I can lay down traps, I can lay down assault drones, and I'm just like trying to predict where a enemy might come in at.
Yeah, I think one of the cooler things about this game that really surprised me was how seamless it feels for these ships and all of these dungeon areas and everything in this play space to kind of interact with each other. So Van Aken is like venturing beyond the ship right now, heading towards a POI, a point of interest, and then realizing that he's not going to get there very fast. So might as well.
One thing I do like is if you get close enough to a ship, you are kind of pulled into its orbit, which is cool.
There's a bit of internal gravity, and there's gravity on the ships too, which gets really fun when you like slam into something and the ship goes upright. It kind of tosses everything around inside the ship.
You get stuck like so hard where like the ship just starts spinning or like tilting to one side, and when you're driving, you can only see what what you can see out of the cockpit. So sometimes you're just stuck somewhere. And it's like collision, and it's like I don't even know what part of the ship I'm colliding with. So I'm just like hitting the boosters, trying to push the ship forward, like hoping to unwedge myself from this thing.
Steel on steel, screeching.
Look, be like it's your left, it's your port side. Like you gotta like back it up, and you've got someone trying to like stand outside on the curb telling you how to parallel park your car. Basically, it's like how you're trying to get this ship unwedged from some sort of planet or POI or some nonsense thing that you've crashed this ship into, because you're like you're looking around, you're like, well, I don't got any rear view mirrors, so well, I mean, you could look behind you, but you can't like see some parts of your ship, and so it's tough. Flying that ship is not an easy task.
Yeah, and there are multiple ships, each with different capabilities and sort of stats. But the starter ship is just kind of like your all-rounder.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing is like you're not carrying things over from match to match, but you are leveling up and sort of unlocking new characters that have new like traits and characteristics about them that can change things. Like I was the axolotl inside of like a bowl of water robot, and my whole thing was when I'm repairing the ship, like my beam spreads out and can like repair multiple things at the same time. I could toss down these little robots that would heal nearby parts of the ship that are getting damaged from either people boarding or shooting turrets at it. And so I was running around a lot of the time just trying to fix stuff while everyone else is either, on the manning the turrets, trying to take out a ship, or boarding someone else's ship, or looking for things. I'm dropping these robots that can like help me manage sort of if we're taking like heavy fire. It allows me to sort of keep my wits about me and be, outside the ship, underneath the ship, on the main deck, wherever. And these robots are kind of walking around helping out, trying to stop us from inevitably being destroyed. Because that happened to us a lot.
It's also interesting. So like there's a lot of downtime in this game. We're talking about moments when the ship is hitting things, when there's fire going off, when we're shooting cannons. There's also a lot of time in this game that is like what you are watching right now, where we're just kind of on drone stations, scouting around, looking for info, kind of the like calm before the storm that happens. And I really actually like that, because I feel like for the most case, sometimes we had a spawn, we had a little bit of a hot drop where it would be like, oh, we've spawned and already we can like see one other ship nearby with our drones, and it got a little spicy right away. But for the most part, you usually have a little bit of time before people are running into each other, before you're starting to clash. And so you have these moments where, like, we can see 3 different ships and we know they're at variable ranges. We're trying to figure out.
There's also one behind us circling on us.
Can they figure out where we are? Do they know where we are? Do they know that we know where they are? Are we like positioning? And these ships do actually handle like big freighters. They don't handle like corvettes or anything like that. So you're going to have to like prepare. I think this was the moment where you're like, our rando just started firing and we are like, well, okay, no more element of surprise. Shout outs to our rando here.
I would
the monster of Go. Shout out.
I kind of wish there was more downtime sometimes. It wasn't until this match in particular that I feel like we had a good amount of downtime. Because like you said, we in a lot of our previous matches, it was sort of like very aggressive play. There were a lot of people boarding us almost, like frame 1. There were a lot of just firefights off the rip. And I was kind of hoping for more of like a chill, like, okay, you're going to be in your looting phase. You're going to be, sort of going from POI to POI, and like everyone's going to be stocking up, and then we're going to have the big battle sort of, mid to late match. And that definitely does happen. Like we definitely have that in this match in particular. But I was surprised by how those first handful of matches were just so hyper aggressive from the jump. And so I like that there's like a variety there, but I do hope that some of the matches, or more matches than not, are sort of these longer matches. These sort of like, you're going to have your loot phase, and maybe you'll get into a skirmish or two, but it's not going to be these constant battles all the time. Like having that downtime is really nice.
This is
it is.
This is a sick thing that you do here, and I love this, where you grab the turbine. So besides, you can get cannons that you can install on different ports of the ship. You have hardware upgrades that you slam into the side of the ship in those slots that you saw, but then you also have things like turbines and tractor beams. And so Van Aken is like grabbing a turbine and going to board with the turbine and get on the enemy ship. And you can do so many things on the enemy ship. You can set their reactor up to explode. You can take things out of their ship and then teleport back to your ship and install them on your ship. You can slam the emergency brakes, which is really funny. There's like a lot of really fun ways to just mess with the team. Yeah, and you respawn. This is not a permadeath game. You do respawn back on your ship, but it's after like I think 10 or 11, 12 seconds or so. So there's time where if your whole team is down, the other team gets to like take your stuff, gets to mess with your ship, gets to put your reactor on overload. And so there is kind of a push and pull there of you aren't just taken out by one stray team that comes in and wipes you immediately and just you're done, you're toasted. You will respawn, you'll come back, but you have to kind of like fight back. You have to fight your way back into the fight as Jesse rams us into an asteroid.
This is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, and that's the thing is when you're either under fire or you are like chasing down an enemy ship, there are like some variables in it. It's like, okay, do we turn the shields down so we can get more booster to like, be on the chase? But if they're, firing back at us or boarding us, it becomes very hectic to the point where you're kind of sometimes just hoping for the best. You're just like, okay, we got to make this decision and we got to just go all in on this thing. And in some situations it works out really well. In other situations, you just get outplayed and you're just like, all right, roll it back. Like let's run another match. And I do sort of like the immediacy of it. As long as your ship is up, you're going to respawn, but things can go south very quickly if you don't have enough ice to cool your reactor, or if they've blown a giant hole in the cockpit of the ship, and anytime you go near it, you're going to just get sucked out into space and die. Like, there's a lot can go wrong, especially if an enemy ship can, like, pinpoint and hit, like, direct on either deactivating your turrets or, like I said, like blowing a hole in your cockpit or doing any of these like really damaging things. It could take you a couple minutes to like, get your bearings again and try to fix the situation. And by that point, they're either gone or they're coming at you with a battering ram, and you're just gonna fight for your life for a little bit and hope for the best.
And you see, I just put ice in the ship to heal us. That is on a cooldown. You can't just spam it, but I think like every 20 seconds or so. 20 to 25 seconds you can heal yourself, and we were just like in this is a pretty long fight against Baza. We just like couldn't quite see. They've got like 7 health, and I think this fight continues on for a little while because both teams are really trying to manage their health. amidst also fighting.
So something interesting here that is happening is that we're both trying to essentially kill each other by boarding, which is a way you can do it if you want to try and take out their shields or do internal damage. You can see there are like engines, kind of power cells on the side next to the reactor that you can damage to mess with things. But we could also just be shooting the cannons at them and taking them out the good old-fashioned way.
And I think we eventually switched to that.
Yes.
We're like, okay. But yeah, there's a lot of different entrances to board a ship on. The character I'm playing, you can see I'm overloading the reactor right here. And that starts a countdown. Then I teleport it back to our ship. That is a cool way. If you hold C, you can instantly teleport back. And whatever you're holding will also come back with you. So you can steal parts of the enemy ship and then teleport back to yours. And mid-fight attach, like, let's say they have, an item that is like a laser ram, which is a giant laser beam that is almost like a battering ram. If they had that, I'd go take it from their ship, warp back mid-fight, install it on ours.
Slam it in, yeah.
And suddenly we have that that upper hand. But yeah, the character I'm playing, you see I'm doing a lot of skirmishing. Oxygen doesn't affect the robot character. And he also has a really cool sort of like yo-yo grapple hook thing that is really good for going into space.
That I'm
think
attaching is universal, I want to say.
Is it? Okay, cool.
Oh, you put a clamp jet on them? That's funny.
I put a jet on it, so I'm gonna...
I didn't even notice you did that when we played this, that you clamp jetted them and shoves them down.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get them, like, any way that they are losing control of their ship is a good thing. Mm-hmm. You can use those clamp jets if you're fighting near asteroids. I've done it a couple times where I clamp jet them and shove them into an asteroid to, like, break parts of their ship.
We did when I was playing in the preview, we had a ship that basically had no cannons. Like, we had very basic cannons. We did not pick up any of the upgraded quad cannons or some of the cooler big ship cannons that you can get in this game, like the sniper and the short range like beam of death that we had. And I don't know if we have that in this match or if it's in a different match where we got those, but we had...
This is the quad cannon you were mentioning.
Yeah. This is kind of like the upgraded version of your basic ship cannon that fires faster and shoots more shots and is just a better all-rounder. But we had mine layers, and so what we did was we put all the mine layers on the front of the ship and we boosted into the enemy ship without them like noticing, and then literally pulled our own emergency brake, put it in reverse, and as we reversed out, slammed on the mine layers and just put a minefield up in the middle of all of them, and it just annihilated their ship. It was great.
That's really cool.
And there's like so much cool stuff that you can just come up with on the fly here to do kind of scrappy things. It's not just about like boarding or shooting cannons or kind of running back and forth, but I was surprised by, there's another match where a team was trying to make it to the Wildgate with the artifact, and I pulled the tractor beam out and literally just grabbed their ship and started pulling them back towards us so they couldn't get away. So cool. And it's like, I really like the sort of inventiveness that you can see here in a lot of the weapons and the abilities that you have.
So I think here's where we're like, okay, we got to burn this damn ship. Because we've been in this firefight for
a long time,
10 minutes at least.
Yeah, we're expending a lot of resources at this point, because even though we are fighting a ship and like trying to take it out, like this is all time we could be doing other things. Also, we could be looting, we could be searching for the artifact.
Exactly,
we could be doing all these other things. So at a certain point, it's like, okay, now we need to just go all in. We need to take the ship out, because we do get to loot the ship at the end of it. But
yeah,
like this is all time we could be doing other things where we don't know what the other ships on the map are doing. They could have a ton of stuff at this point, and we just don't know about it yet, because we're not scouting with drones, we're not doing anything else, we're just locked into this one fight. And there's what, 5 other teams on the map at this point?
Yeah, we're now 3 ships remaining at this point, because this is right when SimShip went down, and so it was us 2 and another ship at this point.
So we don't know what that other ship is up to at this point.
They could be going for the artifact, which we're stuck in this long firefight, and meanwhile they're like, hey, I'm just gonna go get the artifact and get out of here. They
could win during this fight, and we would just be locked in this fight.
Yeah. And you could see if you continually hit one part of their the ship's shield, it will break, and then the actual ship is exposed. When you're not in combat, I mean, you can do it any time, but it'd be ill-advised to do it during combat. You can lower your shields to gain a movement speed boost. So that is also a cool option for you. But I think at this point we have all kind of like locked in on the ship, and we're like, all right, this guy he has 8 health. Like, we've almost got him.
Yeah, at this point, like, their shields are faltering. They're trying to get away, but they're clearly out of resources to, like, repair or rebuild in any way. They just healed themselves a little bit, but they're going to be running low because they're not actively farming more. I think one of us was getting a little scrappy at this point, too, and was just kind of messing with them, so... yeah, it's just a matter of time at this point, especially when they clearly don't have cannons that can fire back on us the way that our quad cannon is beating them out at this range.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they have no cover either. Like, they're just out in the open. They're just, a sitting duck. Because the other thing is obviously you watched me get stuck on an asteroid earlier in this footage, but like there's a lot to get stuck on, but also a lot to use as cover. There were previous matches where, we were camping sort of where the artifact was, and we had lowered our ship sort of beneath the fog because there's a layer of fog in some areas, and we were just sort of using the natural cover to try and wait for some ship to try and do something where we were in an advantageous position to then sort of come up on them, and that's happened to us and vice versa. And so there is a lot of strategy in ship placement. Sometimes you don't need to just be flying around. Sometimes it's about finding a good spot where the enemy is going to have to come to, and just, staying behind a rock and waiting to rise over it, or doing something of that to, get the upper hand. Or sometimes you get locked into like a 20-minute firefight. It's been... We've had a bevy of different experiences in our time with this.
Yeah, so all that work, and we toasted
Eric
them.
wasted no time. Oh, I forgot.
Yeah,
there was like a
that
random
dude was
guy.
out there. Yeah.
That guy was like from a different ship, not part of this battle. But yeah, we kind of like waste no time going in. The ship core that we're going to grab from them will give us increased maximum health, which is really useful. As well as we can loot if they have any turrets or other pieces of ship parts that we can commandeer as we get ready for like the next fight and the next phase. Jesse's going for ice, it looks like.
Yeah, we had to refill
that's
on ice.
again, you can go and I think you were saying you use your repair tool to mine the ice, and then you deposit that in the ship.
Yeah, you just put that in there, and it's like a resource that basically heals when you're in combat. You can see we've got that tractor beam there. That is Chekhov's tractor beam. Keep an eye on that one. And it's really interesting because we're near the top of the map. You can see there is like an edge of space that you can hit if you go too high or too low, or out to the edges too far. Although I never really hit the outer boundaries of the map. I feel like everything is very centralized in Wildgate, and I was never hitting the far outer reaches. But we definitely hit the roof a few times.
Multiple
the
times.
Roof of space, yeah.
We had a time where someone clamp jetted the bottom of our ship and was pushing us up into the outer edges of the ship.
Which is a strat. It's a viable strat. We were theorizing during the preview session what would happen if you took clamp jets and put them on opposite ends of a ship. So like one on the back left and one on the front right. If you could get it in a permanent spin and just keep their ship spinning in circles.
Oh, that's really awesome.
Yeah. So there's a lot of really cool, fun stuff you can do in this game that I think it would have been very easy for this to just be a shooter, like a game where you just jump in and everybody's got their guns and they're gonna like hunt each other down and take each other out. But a lot of the stuff in this game, even the guns, like they work, they're functional, they do their job, but they're not particularly like it's not like a Call of Duty gun where you're like pop 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 and trying to like hit heads and stuff like that. They're kind of just serviceable for the thing they have to do. But this game is much more about like manipulation, positioning, strategy as much as there is tactics, and sort of thinking about how you can use all the tools that you have to take out the enemy ships or just avoid them entirely. You could like get a really fast ship and try to just outrun everybody else and find the artifact. As you can see, like early in the match, when the artifact is found, like when the place where the artifact spawns is found, everyone is notified and they immediately know where it is too. So it's a really good way of converging everyone onto a central point and getting the match moving into the next phase, which is, okay, everyone knows where the artifact is. What are we going to do about it? And I've been in matches where you just kind of have a standoff around the artifact where nobody wants to go for it. because the second you're going for it, you have to complete the POI inside, and that's like tasking. You have to do some stuff in there. But
Yeah.
you know, you don't want to be the one that gets left waiting and, you know, somebody's running away with the artifact while you were out fighting other ships and stuff like that. So it creates like really interesting standoffs, strategical decisions, that's totally a word, and maneuvering around the map. And I think that's like a really cool way for them to take it, instead of this just being like another space sci-fi extraction shooter, you know.
Definitely. You can see I let the shields down to give us some, we can get up to 175. I don't know the unit of measurement, 175 speed, as opposed to, I think, like 150 in the earlier ones if you have your shields up. There's also a boost that I should be using here, but I think I'm just like taking my time.
I don't think we had a lot of boost at this moment, because
I think we only had like 16,
not
so I
gone
might have
for
been
it, yeah.
saving it.
That's another resource that you've got to manage. You've got to go out and find those.
Yeah,
red
if you look at
asteroids.
the top right of the screen right now, you can see that little pink
Yeah.
asteroid that's out of view now, but that's where you harvest fuel.
They kind of look infected, like there's something wrong with them. Like if your arm looked like that, you'd be like, I need to see a doctor right now. If you feel that way when
Yeah.
you see a rock, it's got fuel in it.
Or if you
It looks
shoved
like the
your
Princess
arm
Mononoke curse.
in the salvage machine, you'd be able to boost.
Yeah, put your arm in the salvage machine, you'll get fuel for boosting. Don't do that. We're not doctors.
Nah, I've been watching The Pit. You can do it. Trust me.
That was on the pit. Yeah, this is the pit, because we're about to go into. I love these like fog storms. I don't know what to call them. Like just space fog,
Space clouds.
Yeah, like Silent Hill in space. Like we're going through
Yeah.
them, and they're just. It's hard to see what's on the other side, but they're
I
not
think,
solid.
if I remember right, our drones have. I think you all determined there's a ship on the other side of this fog.
At this
so that's why I
point,
put the
yes.
shields back up. Yeah.
Yeah. We're going into combat at this point. We had droned out. We had seen the other ship, and now we are heading into combat.
I think this is again one of those situations where we were like, okay, let's go in quietly, and then our teammate just starts firing.
The monster of Go has never seen a ship that they have not shot at, and you know what? More power to them. You know, they're just letting everybody know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see on the map screen. So you do have like a map that you can pull up, and if you scan things with your drone, any like stationary POI or something like that gets permanently tagged on there, and then enemy ships will kind of stay tagged on there for a moment. So yeah, I think at this point we had determined that yes, they were on the POI. They're doing
inside.
something, and so we can sneak up on them and maybe like pull their reactor core and take their stuff and then like destroy their ship, and then they're done. They're toast. That's it. And granted, 3 of us are in voice chat. 1 person is not. We're all theorizing.
There's Monster of Go.
There they go.
Line 'em up.
It's like this was not what we had planned.
And like
Yeah,
this is a
They are
very
instantly
far
back on their
game.
ship and
And
engaging.
they have a really, really good gun that we had in another match, I think, which is, you can see how it like spreads out and then coalesces. It's a gun that basically when you shoot the bullets, after a certain distance, they will start to follow your mouse cursor. And so you can like launch this swarm of bullets and then like direct them all into different parts of the ship. So if you want to target a certain door, if you want to target a gun, if you want to target the cockpit, like what is happening right now,
We're getting
bam.
cooked right
Yeah,
now.
we're just getting destroyed. I think it pretty soon I grabbed the tractor beam and I'm like, all right, we're gonna take control of this situation. Yeah, they have claimed the artifact. This is a little dirty.
I'm
what
just
they
like
end up
trying to
doing here.
get. Yeah, I'm trying to get out because we've bit off more than we can chew.
You'd see
our
me
shield is
floating by
slowly
in
coming back.
space. I think I was trying to kill boarders because we had people on top of the ship, like shooting down through the entrance that is on top of the ship. That's the other cool thing about all the different ships, is they all have different doors, different entryways. I don't think we got one when we were playing, but there is a thing called like a security system that will
Yeah.
automatically lock some of your doors if it detects an intruder. So that's like really useful. And yeah, they're shooting
They're
down. Through the
they're
window.
literally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was a scrappy match, and now we're at the
Yeah.
bottom edge of the map trying to pull up. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just trying to. We're underneath of where the artifact was, And it's just, I thought it was the right move. I don't think it was. You can see them on top of our ship right now.
I think at this point, this is when I grabbed the tractor beam and I was like, I'm going to force them down to us. I'm going to claw God down from his heaven with my tractor beam.
These ships aren't huge.
What are you doing with that clam
And so
jet?
you have four like people manning them.
Making mistakes.
But then you realize that when things are
Uncontrolled
hairy, four players are not enough. Like when things are going really bad, you think like, oh yeah, we got 4 people. Someone will drive. Someone will be on a turret. Someone will be like on the lookout. No, when things start going bad, like you need
It's chaos.
you need so many more hands. You're like you're stretched so thin. And so like obviously like Alex is getting shot as trying to drive. Now I'm trying to drive. I'm sure I'll die in a couple seconds. And everyone's just looking around for things, but there's so many other things that are going on. Things are on fire. Someone's trying to like man a turret. We're trying to figure out what direction the ship is going. Like,
And they're just
you
sprinting
need
for the
so
win.
much stuff.
Yeah.
We're hurling towards the bottom of the map. We're trying to turn things around, and everyone's just trying to do their best. And it requires a lot of communications. Like, this
Yeah.
is a game like so much more than a lot of other modern multiplayer games that like you want to be on voice comms. You want to be talking to your team. Like, this is a very difficult game to just try and play on vibes alone. like if you're trying to communicate with your team on vibes, like it's going to be a tough time.
Yeah.
Especially when things get hairy.
Yeah, we're just trying to keep this ship together at this point because we're rapidly losing HP and falling apart. Meanwhile, as the fires ravage our systems and we plummet towards doom, I think we lose in a second here. The other team just gets away, and if they didn't kill us here, they were gonna make it to the Wildgate. They'd pretty much locked it in. So good job, checkmate. Lived up to your name.
Yeah.
Took down grip safety.
Exactly. Well, thanks guys for joining me for this look at Wildgate. I appreciate Eric and Jesse, you two joining me. Thank you all for listening and watching out there. Really appreciate it. If you're new around here, be sure to hit that subscribe button, click the notification bell so you don't miss another video. And if you don't mind, leave a like on the video to help us out in the algorithm. All right, we'll see you all next time. Thanks for watching New Gameplay today. We'll see you next time. Bye.